to the conversation. You're watching on YouTube, it's a good time to subscribe. Welcome to the NEL Show, the part 2 of this conversation and the concluding part of rebuilding the value system in government. In the previous episode or in the previous part, we have been speaking a lot about definitions, basics, understanding what is not even right, and some of the misconceptions that the average Nigerian has. We also
being part of speaking a bit about politics and everything in between. And we are going to start to wrap up. Okay, we're having our amazing guests join us again. Thank you so much. Emmanuel is here, Daniel is here, Tony is here. So we'll just get right into it. It was Daniel's question I was coming to before that happened. Let me get on board so that we can move on with the question I had for Daniel. Thank you and welcome to everybody joining us. Thank you so far for being with us, Emmanuel, Daniel, Tony. I didn't take it at all for granted. Okay, so Daniel, the question I had for you, what measures do we see a lot of things happen in the nation and people commit crimes. People in leadership commit crimes and they disappear, they travel out, or they are caught and they're put in prison, and after a while they are released again. Okay, I'm not sure whose mic is on. If you could just help me put up your mic. If your mic is on, your cameras can totally be on, but just your mic. All right, I'll go on. What can we do? So in essence, there's a lack of consequences. That we have a lack of consequences system in Nigeria, which makes people to continue to repeat the same mistake. Well, not mistakes, like the same crime. They keep committing the same crime again and again. What do we need to do differently to become a system and a country that is accountable? Hence, making people examples so that other people can see what not to do and what to do right. And I would tie that in with that's your A question. I'll tie that in with you spoke a lot about being involved in the political party and all that. If a person wants to become a lawmaker, is that the same step that who wants to directly influence the laws, who wants to get into the system where you can directly influence and vote for bills and all of that? What are the steps for an average Nigerian who doesn't have godfather, does not know anything? The person is asking, oh, okay, Daniel, please help us understand how I can become a lawmaker. I don't have a godfather, godmother, or whatnot. So what do I need to do to get to that level? That is my own turn. And I want to become a lawmaker. Okay, so yeah, one of the first, you can start with the first question and then move to the second. Thank you for everybody.
Okay, so with regards to ensuring that we are involved or that politicians are, punished for crimes that they commit, I think it starts with the revamp of our laws. It starts with a revamp of our laws. It also starts with, like I already said, that our laws are formed in such a way that they protect the people in power. That's why you see somebody that stole Maggie would be in prison, and someone that stole 1 billion is outside. All right. So our laws have been designed in such a way to protect the rich and influencers and people with influence and money. So we
okay, I think a bit of
need
please go ahead.
The judicial system in our country to be independent of itself in terms of they must stand by the ethics of. If we do not have
Yes, I can hear you, Daniel. You went off for a while, but I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. So I said that we need our laws to be able to stand the test of time. We must not. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, oh, time lag. I don't know why that is.
Hello?
Maybe would you leave and come back again? I don't know why we're having time lag. Because I was hearing you,
Okay.
you were doing it was very okay. Daniel will have to leave and come back. Thank you so much. Please invite your friends to watch this. If you're watching the replay, share this video. Daniel just needs to leave. It'll be back.
Okay, we're trying to get Daniel. Okay, yes. Emmanuel is trying to get back, and Daniel now. Okay. Thank you so much, Emmanuel, for coming back. Daniel was speaking, so he's coming back now. His network went off. So no, we asked him to leave. We asked him to leave. There was a bit of time lag. So I'm just trying to add him to the conversation. Then we continue. We are already wrapping up. I just have a few questions and then we are done. Okay, I'm yet to see Daniel. Okay, he's back. He's back. Let me go live with. Okay, he has sent the request. Okay. All right. I think Daniel is back. Okay. Daniel, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes, please, you can go on.
All right. So what I'm saying is that we need our laws and our judicial system to be able to stand by it, stand by what it says it is. So we should not have a case where I also think that politicians should be able to be tried when they are in office, not when they are out of office, especially for governors and maybe presidents and the likes. We must be able to see where these politicians are tried, and the cases are tried quickly. We're not seeing a case drag for so long. Look at how long Abba Kyari has the case has been dragging with regards to the whole drug syndicate issue. It's been dragging for too long. And we are trying to ensure that if we want to be able to prosecute drug lords and drug dealers in our country, Abba Kyari's trial and judgment should be the fastest, so that it will serve as a deterrent to other pocket people who are not even in power, to see that, okay, this government has no space for corruption. One of the things that the current administration thrived on when coming into power was that they will be corruption free. But look at the corruption index in the country today. Nigeria is one of the most corrupt countries in the world, one of the most unsafe places in the world to live in. So the government of the day has not lived up to the expectations of that. On the part of lawmaker, I think it still goes out. You cannot become a lawmaker if you are not part of a political party. You need to be part of a political. Are you currently making within your community? Are you even part? Do you even know when there is landlord meeting in your community? Do you even know when there is the local government, the local LCDA, local community development meetings within that community? Do they know you in that place? Do you have a voice? Do you make concrete contribution to that community? What is your level of influence places? Because at the end of the day, politics, how are you able to influence it? How are you able to make sure things work for your people in your own community? So start making impact right now. You can just be on your street. Let people already know that, oh, you have any issues with NEPA, with this. People know that you're the person to run to. There's a security challenge. They know that if they want to call anybody, they can call you. You can be responsive. You are responsible to people in the community. Already know you. They respect you, and it comes from a place of how you are impacting that community. There is community cleaning service. Are you part of it? Are you pioneering one in ensuring that you are involved? Because being a lawmaker is not just about sitting in that office. It's all about making policies that favor the average Nigerian, and that's the major thing we need to look out for, how these policies will benefit everyone in 2023 election. For me, if any politician is coming now and campaigning and they are on top of their campaign promises, we will provide you electricity, water, road. Those are basic things that should come with those are perks of the office. They are not campaign promises. We should never be voting any person into office on the basis of they will provide you with electricity, they will provide you with water. Are we not tired of hearing things like that? We've been saying that thing for consistently for over 50 years. That has been campaign promise for over 50 years. And that's what I'm already hearing some people saying. Even people, what is even shameful for me is people in APC telling me they want to continue from where Buhari stopped. I would not be be accepting of where Buhari stopped. Where Buhari stopped? How? How do you expect me to take that in? That we are going to continue from where Buhari stopped, where high cost of living is at the highest ever, where Nigeria is at its poorest ever, where Nigeria is at its unsafest ever. How are you have to be bringing something new to the table to solve our security challenges? What are you hoping to do to ensure that the price of commodities go down? Just yesterday, CBN increased the interest rate from 13 to 14%. And what does that mean? It means that all these loan apps are also going to increase their interest rates. Now, these loan apps are taking between 25 and 35% interest rate on loans they are giving to the average Nigerian. Are you actually aware that in the United States, no loan app takes more than 18% in the United States of America? But guess what? All these loan companies are trooping to Nigeria, trooping to Africa, and impoverishing our people. When election time comes, they will share money again. So we need to be involved. Our involvement comes by asking the right questions. What we want to see change. The change we want to see is not good road. It's not electricity. The change we want to see is they have Nigerians being able to afford the things they can buy. My dad said, I was thinking about it a few weeks ago. At 27, my father was not earning up to half.
Well, live again. Chronicles of IG life and the hiccups that come with it. All right, we go on. We'll continue with this conversation. We're in the concluding part, rebuilding the value system in government. We've done rebuilding the value system in individuals, in rebuilding the value system in family, rebuilding the value system in the church, and now we're doing rebuilding the value system in government. Daniel was saying something really important before network happened to the conversation. So we are having the friends joining again. So much, Emmanuel, for rejoining. I'm trying to re-add Daniel and Tony.
All right, go ahead. I'm right here.
Thank you. Okay, they are back. All right, they're back. Let's move on. Yes. Okay, and then Tony, I'll be adding to it, so we move on. Go live with Tony. All right. Okay. Daniel, network happened, and that was why I got caught up. But where I stopped, where you were speaking, was you were sharing about your dad saying something. I don't know if you remember your train of thoughts. Or you were answering the lawmaker's question and you were sharing an example, an incident, or something that I believe you were discussing with your dad. Or you can just pick up from where you remember, or just share or summarize the point you were trying to make. Oh, okay. Daniel is having a bit of network. So I will... Daniel, can you hear me? Okay, so I will come back to Daniel. Let me go to Emmanuel. Let me see. Yes, so that we can take that. So yeah, I'll just ask out the next question. So I'll move to Emmanuel now. Emmanuel, what are your thoughts on the top 3 candidates so far? What are your general thoughts? I'm talking about Peter Obi, Atiku, and Asiwaju, because there's no way we're going to discuss Rebellion. Of course, other subsequent conversation will focus on all those ones, but this one is just on a basic level. What are your thoughts on these top 3 candidates? Atiku, Asiwaju, Obi.
Ngechi, I hope that you were very good to get to this, because I don't know when you're going to get to this.
Just something light. Something light.
Well, you, if you know anything about me, you know that I'm not a straight sharpshooter. Okay? So I don't like to pander or kowtow to anybody's, personal opinion. I honestly do not care for their validation or anything. So I'm just going to spit it right out. So I've had a very controversial, and for someone like me who's been involved in social reform for nearly 10 years, pushed all sorts of initiative and ideas, I have a bit of a controversial standpoint when it comes to these 3 candidates. And I'll start with in my opinion, the least likeliest person to win, in my opinion, or who I presume to be the least likeliest person to win. And I'll explain why, and then I'll go into who I think is the most likeliest to win. And this is a very realistic, analysis. Peter Obi.
Okay.
Here is why I think that as a person, he has some semblance of sanity. He has some semblance of awareness. It has some semblance of empathy. It has some semblance of sensitivity. And he does seem to have a mass appeal right now.
Okay.
When the chips are down, mass appeal has never won in the cutthroat world of the Nigerian political space. And it is simply because of the way that Nigerians are in love with their slave masters. Don't get bowled over or carried away by the sentiment rife on social media. And I dare say that we can only hope against all odds, as we begin to wind down to the start or the flag up of the campaign sometime in the month of October, that we are somehow all obedient, reluctant, and very vociferous alike. We're able to sustain the tempo and the tremor that we have galvanized on the social space and let that translate into real electoral value. That maybe, just maybe, in another 2 months, when we do this sort of analysis, Obi will flip from being the least likeliest to win of these 3 people, in my personal opinion, to being the most likely person to win. Now, whereas I think of him as the least likely to win person, I think of him as the most likely person to succeed in driving the kind of reform and change that we crave for. And that's because if values are anything, he seems to have imbibed some of the values we need in a leader. Prudence, empathy, discipline, technocracy, and accountability. I call them, those 5 values, I have christened them the adept value. ADEPT. So Obi seems to me as the person who is most adept at solving Nigeria's problem, because he's proven that he can be accountable. He has proven that he has discipline. You see him in his comportment and his mannerism and the way he carries himself. He is proven to have a lot of empathy. He's not a speech sort. He is also proven to be prudent. And he definitely is a billionaire, so that suggests to me that he has some measure of technocracy. And for Christ's sake, he's been the governor of one of what I consider the state with the largest constellation of wealth in Nigeria, Anambra. Anambra has the largest constellation of billionaires. Compared to any other states, you can argue that, I can argue that anyway. The largest constellation of billionaires anywhere in Nigeria. So to that extent, I think for someone who's been used to affluence, his family comes from a rich, wealthy family, he's not given to a fictitious lifestyle and all of that. So he represents all of that. But let's take a backtrack for a moment. Where have we seen that before? Your guess is as good as mine. Buhari, prior to 2015 when he became president. So when you look at all of that, there is something about the political environment that demystifies the innocence, that transmogrifies, forgive my big language, or transforms, if I may use that simple word, sentient, sensitive human beings into sinisterly horror beasts. It transforms them. There is something that enters them. I don't want to be too spiritual or superstitious or anything like that. They transform. The Buhari that took the walk, the Rescue Nigeria movement, side by side with Bakari and John Odigi Oyegun. It's not the Buhari that is in Nassau Villa right now. Nothing you want to tell me. It's not the same person. Something happened to him. A switch went off in his head. Another one came on. He became a beastly person. So that's where my reluctance about the obedience movement comes from, because I have seen it. And notice how very replicative his choice of a candidate was. Yusuf, Datiame, smart man, brilliant mind, and economist in his own right, a billionaire too. Where have we seen that? Oshibajo was a billionaire, even though he wasn't very much touted. He was a professor of law and everything. What did we have for it? Perfect, fantastic pairing. A man of integrity with a man who is learned. Another man of integrity and prudence with a man who is learned. So Nigerians love their fairy tales. They love stories. They love folklores. They like this idea of, of just falling in love with the narrative that looks so great. And it's not the first, second, third, or fourth time. Obasanjo from prison to palace. And he's going to be our Messiah. Umaru Musa Yarada from a lowly classroom teacher to governor to president. Jonathan, the man who walked many miles without shoes, so a breath of fresh air. Obasanjo, Buhari, the guy with integrity, and right now, everything is in disunity. Do you see? There's a recurring, there's a wavelength, there's a constancy in that wavelength, that fabric. It's traveling across time, seasons, and sessions. And you see it. It's evident in the way that our systems are built. So I'm careful to question the value that makes the man, not the visions the man is proposing. And that's my analysis of the OB thing. So maybe over the next few months, if he's real, we will see it. If he's people, we will see it. I want to see, as much as manifestos isn't everything, but I want to see a well-structured, a well-worded articulation of all these ideas that he's saying. And like Daniel rightly mentioned, we need to get to a point where we can really we can diffuse all those tensions, and we can set apart just mere narrative and platitudes. We can set that aside. Real, profound, well-articulated plans to make change happen. Okay. So that's about the Peter Obi thing. Fantastic man, he has great values, but the cynic in me is I'm still very undecided as to whether he is the real deal or not. Okay. Because as stated of the political space, we want to also know if he's able to maintain his integrity when he enters. And then we also have to look at the Nigerian factor. Everybody's everybody's bowled over by the need to have a quick fix. So he mentioned it. Everybody wants us to fix the problem today. It's not true. It's not realistic. It's never going to happen. So if we don't internalize, and I expect that somehow a Messiah will just metamorphose out of thin air, and like the bed of the phoenix, rise out of the ashes, and the new Nigeria will reborn or rebirth in 4-8 years. It's not true. We need to bury this. The Nigeria will get better for all of us in our lifetime. If nothing else, let us try and pray and hope against all odds that we're able to institute a system that works and favors our children and the children after them, even if we don't get to be the principal beneficiaries of this transformation. Obi aside. The next least likely person to win, Atiku. Atiku has absolutely, you see, the truth is, it's so messed up that our politicians are the way they think. Atiku has absolutely no moral justification to be running for anything in this country again. He's a shame. He is absolutely, he has absolutely no conviction, no compulsions, nothing. You live in Dubai half the time. You come to Nigeria, throw money around, and then you nilly-willy your way into positions of, to the primary ticket, and then you are becoming a candidate. And like Madame Soshi, I don't have love for the man. Jimole said he's a political rolling stone. He has decamped and recamped and decamped and recamped again. From APC to PDP, back to PDP to APC to APC. So he's just been rolling like a stone without, it's crazy. It's crazy. This is a man who led the privatization between 2000 to 2005, 2006. He's been desperate for. I see, never trust a man who spends 4 years trying to win an office. He has no plan other than to aggrandize and enrich himself. Atiku has been spent the past 30 years trying to be president. Under PDM, which metamorphosed from SDP when he ran against Baba Ganaki Gigbe and MKO Abiola. And then he tried again in 2099 until they told him go and be governor. And then he became vice president. And in 2003, he tried against Obasanjo. And then in 2007, he tried against PDP under ACN. In 2011, he tried against Jonathan. He ran to APC. And then in 2015, in 2019, the man is way too desperate for our own good. Don't we see it? So I can't trust that man to look over my property, much less the entire Nigeria. We can't put our future in the hands of that man. We can't do that. The privatization, just one out of many of the public, infrastructure that he sold. Look at how much they sold the same company. Something that would have amassed no less than $2-3 billion. He sold it for $130 million. Today, where is it? Ajaokuta still, where is it? A lot of all these structures were privatized. Look at what he did in the telecom sector. Look at what he did with the power project, independent power project. Look at what he did with NITEL and all of these other structures that were eventually sold during the Obasanjo regime. He led the National Council on Privatization. He's also promised you that when he comes in, I will literally categorically also do more of this privatization because that's the way to go. But where has that happened before? They privatized the private sector. It went from NEPA to PHCN to Disco, Gencos, and whatnot. Yet, National Grid is collapsing 7 times in less than how many years?
Not working.
You get the point. I can't trust him. I can't trust somebody who is inconsistent, who has proven to not have one singular valve of loyalty in his entire body frame. His anatomy reeks of deception, malice, selfishness. He's not the kind of person we need in Nigeria. So the third person, who is by virtue of the practical, I dare say ridiculously harsh, but still realistically possible reality facing us, but Tinubu. I do not personally have any love for the man, but if I must be practical enough to see what is in play and understand the desperation that has typified APC's grip on power in every and any way possible, that's the man that may likely win the election. Except, just maybe, something in the mode of the Arab Spring is in the horizon. Except maybe, just maybe, something in the mode of the Hong Kong protests, and as recently as the Sri Lankan uprising. Except something in that mode is in the horizon. I am hard pressed to see what strategy is in place to dislodge the deeply entrenched ideology that is in the APC. They are the ones in power. I don't want to get carried away. Oh, Osun election is a litmus test. People have said, oh, Osun election proved that the people's power. Yes, it's true. But you see, when the chiefs are down, we'll see how many of us have that temerity to stand in line and wait and watch our votes counted. I literally had unbuttered. Don't tell us a lie and try to feed us. Don't try to feed us with narrative. Don't tell us what we want to hear. Tell us what we need to know. Don't tell me you can fix Nigeria's problem in 2 days, in 2 weeks, in 2 months, in 2 years. Be realistic enough to tell us what you will do. Let Nigerians be geared up for the tough times that lie ahead of us. Let us know that indeed you will take away fuel subsidy. It means we will not be buying fuel at 285, 385. Probably we'll buy it in the neighborhood of 300, 400. Tell us what you're going to do about the moral and immoral allowances that are accruable to senators in the National Assembly. Tell us what you're going to do about subsidizing and deregulating the downstream sector. Tell us what you're going to do about fixing the educational challenges. Tell us what you're going to do about fixing the moribund health sector. Tell us what you're going to do about the behemoth of population that is far overwhelming our economic growth. Nigerian population, we're living in, we're